The author of Mushoku Tensei, Rifujin, has he just doesn't give any Fs. And I absolutely love every single minute of it. Honestly, last week I had a lot of fears. I was covering this whole incident with everybody being outraged over Mushoku Tensei's episode having the portrayal of forced servitude, and all these different groups pick it up. Everybody's upset about it. And again, I said before, if you're upset about it, if it offends you, if it makes you uncomfortable, that's fine. Just let everybody else enjoy it. Don't stand on a soapbox and tell everybody else they can't enjoy it. But the big fear that I had was Rifujin decided to respond. And I had two different translations of this response through several different types of translators. And one of the main one that everybody was using, obviously, it seemed like, was Google. Google was translating his response as being an apology for the betrayal and everything. And even certain news groups were even claiming it as an apology. So I guess I wasn't the only one that had that confusion. But like I stated in my last video last week, there was another translation of this particular line in his tweet, in his post, that was actually, I'd like to defend myself rather than I'd like to apologize. And so I was presenting both translations to people. But my key thing in that video that I was making was that I was upset that he felt the necessity to respond. I don't like this idea that there's a fictitious story that somebody created, and it has something that is, yes, hard to swallow, and it can't be allowed. And then the author has to respond. That's where I get annoyed, because I felt, by Rifujin responding to all the outrage of forced servitude being in the story, that it was going to affect him and how he writes stories. And yes, even that Google Translations made it feel like, man, I hope he doesn't change how he writes because of this. Thankfully, Mushoku Tensei, the novel series, is done, so I don't have to worry about him changing the story because of this, let's face it, anime tourist outrage. And yes, there's a group of people that are anime fans that are upset by it. I'm not saying that it's only tourists, but yeah, it was a little bit disheartening. For those who don't remember the response, the true response, it seems like now, was I'd like to defend myself because I don't condone forced servitude myself. But it's true that I wrote Rudius as someone who is not averse to forced servitude. And the original story is also written in a mild setting and in such a way that it can be accepted as this is just normal in this world. It can't be helped. Which, yes, reality, people, like I said in my last video, it exists in this world. So go after that. Go after real existence in this world. Don't spend your time on your phone that's made by, anyways, I'm not gonna go into that whole thing. But yes, because everybody was using Google to translate it and was saying it was an apology, everybody was telling him, please don't apologize. You don't have to apologize. And so he finally came back and actually responded to it last week, which was absolutely hilarious because it gets even better. He posted, various people have told me that I don't have to apologize, but that's a sentence that's not considered an apology in Japan. So maybe I'm not apologizing. He's such, again, this could be translation issue here, but this totally sounds troll. And I love it. And it gets better after this. Yes, he's literally clearly stating here that, no, I'm not apologizing. I was just defending myself. He was explaining himself, essentially. That's the problem with translations. This is something I've dealt with, and this is why, like I said, I use like 3 different translators to get me an idea of where it's consistently sounding, because every sentence can be interpreted a different way. Take, for instance, that's why I kind of like DeepL. If you use DeepL and you put something in there, sometimes it'll tell you like 5 different ways that it can be interpreted. That's what I like. I like seeing the possibilities that it can be sort of construed, because sometimes it doesn't make any sense. You have to get multiple sources. You have to get an idea because, yes, technically, actual translators have to interpret in some way, or they'll ask for clarifications to make sure the interpretation is correct. That's the biggest problem with translation, and yes, as good as our translations are getting, it still has its problems. And yes, like I said, and I joked about earlier, even major news groups don't even get it right. But where I love this is where I'm falling in love with Rifujin all over again, because yes, I've fallen in love with Rifujin because I love Mushoku Tensei so much. Now, granted, I'm only 13 volumes into it. Let's say in the next couple volumes, suddenly I hate it. With how much he's been ripping my heart out lately, I feel like I don't like him, but I love his writing because he has no filters. This guy just puts out there reality. He puts out there dirtiness. Everything is bare to see, and he doesn't apologize for it. Again, like I said, that whole incident last week, I was afraid he would pivot. I was afraid he'd be upset. But no, What sort of showed me last week with his encounters and his response to everybody thinking that he's apologizing is this is a guy that's used to this. He's been dealing with this. We got a hint of that back when the anime first started getting adapted. They were doing interviews with Rifujin, they were getting interviews with the director, and what was constantly being asked is, what do you say about all this controversial stuff in your writing? Doesn't it bother you? And he's just like, no, it doesn't bother me. I mean, when that initial interview came out early on, I loved it because he literally says, of course, I have no issues with criticizing Rudius at the beginning stage. And it's up to you to decide whether or not you want to see the story because of that. With that said, if there's someone like Rudius close to you, and that person were to have even a slight change of heart and try to start over, I sincerely hope that you won't abandon them on the spot. Despite his ugliness, I hope that if you see that he wants to start over, you'll give him a shot. Rudius is a nasty person, but he's changing. And that sign of somebody wanting to change, you want to help them. And guess what? They're going to fall over and over again. This week, we're getting that example. Because yes, we have the second in a row controversial episode with Rudius capturing the Beast Girls and touching them and cleaning them. It's again, this sign that Rudius himself is still nasty. He still has these things that most people are going to be upset by, but doesn't mean he's not worth saving. He's gonna fall. Pick him back up. How many times does he fall before you give up? That's up to you to decide. I think that's really kind of a added thing to this whole statement. That's me interpreting it and me adding something to it. No matter how many times he stops, are you gonna turn on him? Are you gonna leave him? Or are you gonna help them? And again, not that you're obligated to read the story or watch it. I'm just saying this is the concept here. People are flawed, and Rifujin is not afraid of showing a very flawed character. But I love it, because last week's whole exchange didn't end there. It didn't end with him just saying, look, I'm not apologizing. Because yes, Minoru Ashina, the director of Isekai Quartet, decided to chime in on his saying that I'm not apologizing. And he said, I was like, what? In which post did you apologize? Because he's looking through it going, where is he apologizing at? Everybody's saying don't apologize, and he's trying to find this post. Because again, it doesn't translate that way. He says, I thought apologize to me. Apologize to me for no reason. And so Rifujin replies saying, we have no excuse for this incident. We're currently in the process of identifying the cause of the incident, and will take the precautions to ensure that it will not happen again in the future. We ask for your continued patience. Again, Rifujin's just like, he doesn't give an F. And I love it. He's literally trolling on these people. He's like, no, whatever. We're trying to find the problem. There ain't no problem here. I love it. This is the kind of person I want to hang out with. Which, yes, Ashina replied saying, if I didn't know any better, but I accept. Also, I'll buy you a highball. I'm guessing that's a drink. I don't know. I don't know my drinks. But no, it doesn't end there. Because Rifujin knows what's coming up. So before episode 7 even aired, he was already pretty much getting people ready for it. The translation I got was, I'll be streaming again today, which means he's going to be live tweeting, which a lot of great stuff in there, by the way. I'll get into that. By the way, today's topic is also likely to cause a firestorm, but please take care of me. He knows this is coming. He knows the outrage is coming, and so he's already getting himself ready for it. Yeah, I've seen plenty. Most of my feed that I've been able to see was mostly people still complaining about last week, which again, you do you. But I do like this aspect because like everybody replying to him is like, don't worry, we got you covered. It's like he's getting everybody ready to just shield him. There's all this shield memes coming up. They're going to protect him from the damage. But we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see how the outrage happens and how it responds to it. Currently, as I'm recording this, he's probably just getting up over there. I'll probably check it again before I post to see if anything comes up in his head. But no, his live tweets was kind of funny because he was mentioning the fact that when they were talking about him getting his PC smashed, Rifujin says it's your own fault for having your computer destroyed with a bat. Then in response to Linia and Pursena messing themselves, he said, if you lock up someone, you better take care of them. No, you can't lock up people. It's like, yes, if you lock up somebody, you gotta make sure you take care of them. No, just don't lock them up to begin with. Again, he doesn't endorse this. He's gonna make sure to point that out. And in the conclusion of the episode itself, he said, so Rudius successfully freed the 2 imprisoned Beast Tribe daughters and became friends with them. We are happy for you. Actually, one of the translations said, congratulations and happy birthday, which I thought that was hilarious. Again, translations are always sometimes really funny. And then finally, one other post that I thought was kind of interesting. somebody popped up and said, hey, you guys are still doing season 3, right? Tell me you're still doing season 3. And he responded, producers said that they were willing to do it. Which, again, that's pretty much all we know right now, is that they want to do a full adaptation. And like I've told people before, there's always a chance they'll stop. Just because they said at the beginning that they kind of want to do this, doesn't mean they actually do it. But there's hope for it. We've seen boosts in their sales of the novel itself with the anime itself. So hopefully this is something that, because they have so much passion for it, they want to conclude it. So we'll have to wait and see, because it looks like it would probably take like, what, almost 3 more seasons. So we'll see. But anyhow, fun stuff. Like I said, absolutely. At this point, I'm just having fun reading Rifujin's tweets. And like I said, trying to get a proper translation. Again, this is kind of one of those little signs that tells you to be careful about what your translations say. Sometimes it's just based on interpretation. The AI doesn't get it right sometimes. Humans don't get it right sometimes. So you kind of just have to work with it and figure out which one kind of fits better with the situation. And sometimes you just never know. But that's why, like I said earlier, when I seen that there was a discrepancy, I just made sure that everybody knew that there was 2 different translations for it. So at least people knew that there's a possibility he's not saying sorry. He's just defending himself. So, but that all said, I honestly haven't been looking too much into Rifujin's tweets. I'm too afraid of actually following his tweets just because I'm afraid of spoilers. But it seems like he's pretty clean about that stuff. So I'm having fun just reading his stuff and seeing what kind of personality he has. And getting this sense right now, just based on at least the last 2 weeks, has been a lot of fun. Just seeing how this guy, at this point, is just trolling people. And we need that. We need a guy that just has no chill. Just have fun with these people. Because, again, you're never going to make them happy. Like I said with the whole apology thing, you're never going to make them happy. If you apologize, honestly, they're not going to like it. And you see that. If you looked at all the feeds and everything, everybody that was against him to begin with, they were just more riled up. That's typically what happens. They smell the blood, and they go after these people. So, well, that said, hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure that like button down below, comment. Let me know what you think of this whole situation. If you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button's got my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top list. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, I do Mushoku Sundays every Sunday, where I cover the anime, give my impressions on it, talk about what was skipped from the adaptation itself. I don't give spoilers beyond the anime. Also on Monday, I do Mushoku Monday, where we do a premiere for a novel series analysis, where I go through the novel series. We're currently in volume 13, which is right after the second season is going to be adapting. But additionally, if you like this content and you want to support it more, I have a Patreon link, tips link, super thanks, membership button down below. Greatly appreciate everybody does, and y'all take care.